to the live stream community that may or may not be watching tonight or tomorrow or sometime during the week. I'm Pastor Lou Kilgore, and I am here at the High Mountain Presbyterian Church, and I'm ready to lead and to facilitate a discussion. Tonight we are continuing in a read-through of the collection of Psalms, and tonight our psalm is Psalm 39. The class is not ready to start yet, but I turned the recording on, so take a few minutes if you want to. Turn to Psalm 39. It's 14 verses, and maybe you want to read through it first and prepare yourself. Otherwise, welcome, and just wait for a little while, about 5 minutes, and then we'll begin the discussion as people are arriving. I will be having some conversation with a few people who will be here in a way in front of me on a Zoom, and that's sort of how we organize our time together. Psalm 39. So, do we have anybody with us right now? I don't think we do yet. It's coming up on 7:30. And again, I turned on the live stream a little earlier than I normally do, so I apologize for having you wait in silence. You can fast forward on YouTube if you know how to do it. But here we are. It's 7:30, time to begin the reading of Psalm 39. And I'll usually wait. A few of my regulars for conversation, will join me here. And we'll get started as soon as they arrive. Hello, Debbie. Hi.
Hello. How are you feeling?
I'm 100% better.
Good.
I mean,
Because the rest of us are not.
oh, is that right?
I had a cold last week, so I'm fine, but I just sound a little mushy. And Barbara's got COVID.
No.
Really? Yeah. I'm thinking she's going to show up. She didn't say. There.
Here she is. Yep.
So, yeah. I don't think anybody's 100% wonderful. This is awful.
Yeah. we closed. There's Barbara. Hi, Barbara.
Hello.
She's coming on audio now.
Yeah. She said she went and got Paxlovid today, so.
That's good. That helps.
Help. Yeah. Hmm. Anyway, it's terrible, isn't it? This is.
Yeah. We closed the preschool 3 and 4-year-olds for the afternoon because 3 of our full-time staff were sick.
Oh no.
I mean, we normally, we'll slide around and give different people, substitutes. We couldn't cover. There are too many people sick.
Wow.
So, hi, Barbara.
Hello.
You're not going to turn on your sound to speak to us, huh? Right. Okay, I get it. You just listen. Well, that's good. The psalm tonight is a lament about a person who is sick, but mostly it's not about this that they're sick; it's that they're getting old.
Oh well, that applies as well.
Yeah, it applies right across the board. So I don't know where Colette is tonight. She's normally here talking to me for 10 minutes before you guys get here.
Oh,
She didn't sign in yet, so.
hmm.
And I was looking back on the videos to try to remember where we were. So I'm looking for last week. I couldn't figure out why there wasn't a recording last week. And then I remembered, oh, that's right. I had COVID last week. So
Right.
there was no recording. There was no class, nothing. So
So do you know where we are?
I do. It's Psalm 39.
39.
39.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Uh, 39.
39. Last week we did 38. And this is a little shorter psalm, but I think I like it. I hope you like it when we read it and see what the approach of the writer is. I think it's pretty interesting. So
Okay.
we could go ahead and start. I know that Barbara's not going to read, so Debbie, you're on.
Okay. So it's me, Psalm 39. I said, I will guard my ways that I may not sin with my tongue. I will keep a muzzle on my mouth as long as the wicked are in my presence. Silent and still, I held my peace, no avail. My strength grew worse. My heart became hot with fear. While I mused, the fire burned, and then I spoke, Lord, let me know my end and what is the measure of my days. Let me know how fleeting my life is. You have made my days a few handbreadths, and my lifetime is as nothing in your sight. Surely everyone stands as a mere breath. Selah. Surely everyone goes about like a shadow. Surely for nothing they are in turmoil. They keep up and do not know who will gather. And now, O Lord, what do I wait for? My hope is in you. Deliver me from all my transgression. Do not make me the scorn of the fool. I am silent. I do not open my mouth, for it is you who have done it. Remove your stroke from me. I am worn down by the blows of your hand. You chastise mortals in punishment for sin, consuming like a moth what is dear to them. Surely everyone is a mere breath. Selah. Hear my prayer, O Lord, and give ear to my cry. Do not hold your peace at my tears, for I am your passing guest, an alien, like all my forebears. Turn your gaze away from me, that I may smile again before I depart and am no more. Ooh, oh no, that's pretty depressing.
Yeah, I had the same reaction when I read it the first time, and then I went back and I read. There's one translator who I was like, okay, come on, help me out here. What's going on? And I think maybe I'm just going to say a few things and then we can read it again. But the translators say this guy, he's having a reality check. Okay, he sees some things going on in his life that he's not happy about. And as you read on, it's almost like this: why do the wicked prosper, and I don't? I'm not accumulating any wealth. I don't have any fame that's accumulating for me. And here I am living my life, and he feels that the end of his life is coming. But he swears he's not going to complain. He's going to keep his mouth shut. He says that in the beginning. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not going to say anything. But the more he tries to not say what he sees, it starts to burn him up inside. He's like, I can't take this anymore. You know, I'm trying to live a life of faithfulness and honesty to God, and yet I look around me, and everybody around me is just, you know, moving ahead of me, and they're getting larger, fancier cars than I have, and they, you know, there's just this overwhelming sense of resentment about how life unfolds. And then he comes to a realization. The realization is, what is the matter with me? What is wrong with me? You know, you could live your whole life and accumulate everything you possibly could. And when you come to the end of your life, what do you have? You have nothing, because it's all vapor in the end. Everything vaporizes except for one thing. Only one thing matters in life, and that is my relationship to God. If my relationship to God is in order, and if it's good, then I'm good. And I need to keep thinking about that and not allow the distractions of accumulation of things and wealth and all kinds of things detract me and redefine the meaning of success in life. Like, what does it really mean when you look at life and you know, the psalmist says all flesh is grass, but he sees it all of a sudden. He gets this vision that says, what are you longing for? What is it that you want that is of so much value that you would trash your sense of relationship with God? And he says, he discovers nothing. There's nothing more valuable than my sense of my relationship with God and walking with God in my life. Now, I don't know, would you have ever gotten that from just reading through it?
Well, eventually. But I still think there's a bunch of pessimism here, because even though he's realizing the value of that relationship, he's also at the end saying that he's not so sure that, you know, God hears him or sees him.
Yeah.
Do not hold your peace at my tears. Like, do not turn away when I'm in turmoil. That's kind of pessimistic, I think.
Yeah, and I think what he's trying to say is, you know, like I don't know, picture like if you're floating down the river on two floats, you know, one foot's on one float and another's on the other float, and you start to lean toward going to one thing, and then you realize that thing you're moving toward is going to sink and it's going to be gone. And then you're desperately trying to get back over on the thing that will endure. And I think that's what he means by, God, don't miss my pleas, okay? I don't really want to go away from you. I don't really want to, and even that earlier part, it's rough imagery about, you know, you turn your stroke away from me. I've been destroyed by the hostility of your hand. I think he's expressing the fact that he's tried to find meaning and purpose and something of a meaningful life, but he's been pursuing it in the wrong direction, and it's all fallen apart. It can't withhold. It can't stand up. So now he wants back. He wants back on the platform that is enduring, the one that makes sense, the one that really only matters when everything of this created order is vapor. And everything that is gone, when wealth is gone and fame is gone, all possessions are disappeared like a shadow, what is left? And that's when he realizes, he's like, whoa, you know, don't look away from me. And then he actually, you know, it's a sort of depressing images in the middle, but he says, I want to be cheerful. You know, I want to be happy before I die. How can I be happy before I die? Well, you're not going to be happy before you die if you're going to spend your last days doing an inventory and comparing things that you have with the things that other people have.
True. I think this realization of the transience of life,
Yeah.
I think he's being very, very human here. He's realizing that his hope is in God.
Yes.
He says that.
Yep. My hope is for you. That's it. My hope is in you.
But, and at the same time, is he 100% sure of that?
Yeah, I think he wants to be. I think he wants to be.
Exactly. And I think he's afraid that if he's not, that he will never achieve that relationship with God that he wants.
Right.
but there's always that bit of doubt. And I think that makes him very, very human. So I don't know. It says a lot about the human condition,
Yeah,
I think.
and I think he's very representative of all of us. You know, he's surrounded by all these things and people that he knows don't represent what is really of value. But he keeps his mouth shut because he knows if he starts to talk about how he's feeling, it's going to come out vindictive. It's going to come out, you know, how come all of you people who cheat and lie and do all these things, how come you have so much of what this world has to offer? So he keeps his mouth shut because it would expose this wrong-headedness about what's important in life. And then he goes through this kind of reverie. He's got in his prayer and his meditation, he takes a journey that says, hold on now, you know? And it's a conversation that takes place inside himself. That's why he's saying he didn't talk to anybody else. He comes to this realization in prayer of, what am I longing for? What is it, you know, why do I feel bad when someone else has something? Why? I have the most important thing available to me in life, the one thing that will endure through life and death. I have that. What's wrong with me?
Well, what's wrong with you is you're human. It's wonderful that he had this conversation by himself, but it's great that it's written down so that we can benefit from, even this writer whose work has come down to us through the ages had doubts,
Yes,
as we all do.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we can recognize ourselves. Maybe it helps us to find our words to say how it feels to live this life. You know, because it's pretty true. It's a true revelation in the words. It's very hard to hold on to the things that are valuable but aren't of substance. You know, it's like, how do you keep your focus and your energy towards keeping and holding on to the things that really do endure in life? Like every human being who's ever lived faces this challenge.
Right. And I think there's that feeling that, how far do I go? Do I eschew everything that has something to do with this life? Do I become a hermit someplace? Or do I walk that line in the middle between paying attention to the worldly things and paying attention to the heavenly things? How do I maintain that balance? I think that is so hard to do and feel good about. You're always probably going to feel you gave too much attention to one thing and you know, ignored the other, and vice versa. You're like balancing in between.
Yeah, and one of the commentators talks about that in the New Testament and a lot of the Christian community in the first century, there was a lot of talk about the fact that this world is not our home. And we should never expect to be at home in this world. That the world, we're surrounded by things that are transitory, but our lives and our very being are designed for eternity. And so if we can keep hold, at one place in the book of in the letter to Timothy, it says, hold lightly the things of this earth. You know, don't grab onto them. You know, the more conventional wisdom is you can't take it with you. So stop focusing on the things that don't matter. And that this image he brings up, he says that this, he says, I am with you, for with you I am an alien. And what that means is, because I'm with you, God, then this is not my homeland. For I am a sojourner like all of my fathers. And
I love that line. In my version, I have the New Revised, for I am your passing guest, an alien like all my forebears.
Yep.
That's you know,
Yeah.
it's very Islamic too. I mean, this dunya, this world It's not going to be our forever home. So don't get too attached to the things of this earth because it will fade away. And he's saying that right here. He's saying, I'm only here for a breath and I'm gone, you know? But while you're here, there is a moral imperative to live as good a life. And how do you do that? That's the part where humans have a hard time figuring out how to do that.
Yeah, because we have a natural desire to be attached to things. You know,
Absolutely.
I mean, why not? We are things. We're made of flesh and blood. We're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I, you know, growing up in the Pentecostal church, and which was really low, very low income community, this idea that the world is not our home was preached and sung about and was a big part of the whole theology, which is stop going around in the world expecting to have things and to feel at home here. You're not gonna feel at home. Just come to church 10 times a week. Pray, you know, sing songs and sing and sing and sing, because that will pass the time until Jesus comes again and then takes us home. There was a really big emphasis on that, you know, that we would find our home somewhere else. It's not going to be here, so don't, you know. And that was the motivation for giving, for sharing. It was the motivation for coming into church and spending huge amounts of time there. Why would you want to spend time out there in the world? Because that's all fading away. Now,
But it's funny that all the religions give you all these rules for how to deal with the world and how to live in the world. And they all encourage you to have children and have families and have possessions. At the same time, not hold too tightly to them. So, you know, there's some contradictory forces at work here, and it does keep human beings like this guy, I think, you know, like, well, what do I do? But, you know, what has meaning for me now? And did I do my best? It does sound like he's ready to die. Did I do my best while I was here? Am I worthy of whatever's to come? I think everybody's never quite sure of that.
right. And I think the foil that happens is, so he decides, okay, so I'm going to try to live a good life. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids. I'm going to have some of what life has to offer. I'm gonna take that step, like you said. That religions say, you know, you can't just go live on top of pole. So he does that. But then when he does that, here's what he observes. He observes that a lot of people who don't care about God at all are doing better than he is in that. Like, you know, he wasn't able to have children. And then the guy down the street who doesn't care two whits about God or anything has 8 kids, you know? Like, and that's where he starts out, and he's like, wait a minute, you know, I can't take this. And then through his meditation, he backs up and he says, what am I in this life for anyway? What am I doing? You know, I'm invalidating my own life based on things that for the longer period of my existence in the arms of God are not going to matter. So he tries to bring himself back rather than indulge in, you know, shaking his fist at God and saying, how come the world is so unfair? You know, and that you have all this security and strength and wealth goes to people who don't even pay you any homage at all. And then he's like, oh, wait a minute. I've lost my foundation in my life. You know, I've lost track of what really matters.
Yeah, because he says all of those people that have more than he are just as, you know, liable to float away on a breath as well. They're not going to take anything with them either. So what does it mean? It's just, you feel like you should comfort this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's very upset. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I feel like comforting him because I recognize him.
Exactly. Yep.
And especially because the commentators say that what really is happening to him is he's getting old.
Yeah.
And the thing that's got him upset is he always thought he was young enough that, well, he could still have time to accumulate the things and to catch up in the great race and keep up with the Joneses. Oh, there's time, I'm going to catch up. And now he's realizing that as he gets older, he doesn't have enough time to do that anymore. He's not going to compete with that. So now what? And again, in his meditation, he's taken back to a deeper rootedness of life, and he's saying, well, what are those people that I'm competing with? What do they have in the end that is not available to me? Nothing.
I think he sees it's nothing. Right. Right. He realizes that. Unfortunate in his last couple of verses here is, turn your gaze away from me that I may smile again. I would think he would suddenly realize, turn your gaze towards me so I may smile again.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like, look, my translation says, look away from me that I may be cheerful. I think, I'm not sure, but I think, so what's making him sad? What's making him sad is that the fiery eyes of God are falling on his foolish thinking. His foolish thinking that he's not accomplishing anything in life, he's running out of time, and that's the eyes of God have moved to him, and he's in turmoil around that. And so he's basically saying to God, okay, stop, I get it. I get it. Let me just go be happy. Let me live into the happiness of what I know, which is the most important things in life come from you. I mean, he's got this amazing sentence back in verse, 7 or 6. All human beings walk about, they're merely an image. They heap up wealth, but it's merely vapor. And he knows not who will gather it. This is all the vanity. He's looking at all these people he's envied and realizing that what he envies is nothing in the end. It has no substance. So then, and he's this thing, like, behold, you have made my days mere hand's breadths, and my lifetime is as nothing before you. The totality of humankind standing firm is merely vapor. And that sounds really depressing, but I think that's not intended to be a depressing thought. It's a releasing, freeing thought that he's realizing he's grasping at straws. Like, that's not where the substance of what is real in life is really found. Now, I'm not sure I have a lot of experience of being able to grab hold of the place he gets to, where he can be, his mind is turned around completely. He wants to be cheerful. He wants to, live into the life he has and enjoy it and celebrate that he has the most important thing in life. He knows God, and that God knows him.
Yeah. Satisfaction in what you have, and also the realization that what you have is temporary.
Yeah.
But still, at least let me smile about it one last time before I go.
Right. Yeah, give me a break. Before I die, don't let me die staring at other people's possessions and wishing that I had them.
Yeah.
Just,
well, turn the TV off. That's what I would say to this
well,
guy.
yeah, it's hard to get yourself, that's true. It's hard to get yourself away from this value system, which is so opposite of our faith value system. We are surrounded by capitalism, by mercantilism, by the stuff. That stuff is what life is. And I speak as one who's affected by it. It's deep.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I tried to watch the Grammys this week, and actually I got so upset because, some of that music was from my time, and I liked they're celebrating a long period of music. I love music. I love it. I love what it means, and I love the people who write it. but it was saturated with commercials. Every 5 minutes, there's 5 minutes of commercials. And the
Well,
products,
somebody's got to pay for all that glitz, right?
I guess, but it's, wow. I just kept thinking, oh my goodness, can I not be relieved, somehow be relieved of this message which says, you need to have this, and you need to get this, and you need to try this, and your health will be better if you do this, and this, and this, and this. Oh my goodness,
Well, you got another weekend like that coming up. You're going to watch the Super Bowl. It's going to be jam-packed with commercials. They're going to stop the whole game, the whole reason d'etre for day to air all these billions of dollars worth of commercials. It's kind of crazy. I don't watch it. I just can't watch it. I don't watch any of those award shows either. I mean, okay, I like the music too, but I don't need to see who was wearing what, all this jazz. And I don't know. I watched PBS, and All Creatures Great and Small was on, and how wonderful that show is. And, the values on it, and how content people are with the little bit that they have, and enjoying nature and on the farm, and it just gives you such a comfy feeling. And no commercials. It was a heck of a lot better than trying to watch the Grammys. My middle granddaughter was so excited by it because she's a Swiftie fan, and they were texting me, "Ooh, she's wearing white, like that means something." I don't know what. Everything that she did, said, oh my God. Well, thinking back when I was that age, I'm sure I was just the same way with the Beatles. Oh, look, he waved. Oh, it's just hopefully it's just a phase.
Yeah.
But
And that's a big one. That's a big phase.
yes.
But that's one of the reasons I used to like to watch soccer and the big soccer games much more than the football games, because in soccer they don't stop the game for anything. They play. But I'm aware now in the stadiums they have figured out how to make the walls of the stadiums move.
Yep.
And so
you can't get away from the advertising all around the outside, and it really does take your attention away from what's happening on the field. Yeah.
Right. There's play going on, and your eye gets caught on something that's moving on the side, and all of a sudden you've missed the play that comes up. They have a tricky way of interrupting the game. And and now on the new stadiums, it's on the ground level, and then the next level up, and then the next level up, and so there's 3 bands of this commercialism that's running round and round and round. Like, oh my gosh.
And in 2 years, the World Cup is going to be right here in East Rutherford.
Yes, I know.
And so we can have American-style football. What will they do to it then? I mean,
I know.
Might be worse. Oh well.
I remember when I don't know, I was in somewhere and we were having a lament like this about the commercialism and all the places they'll figure out where to put ads. And that was the first year, when you go to pick up your luggage from the turnstile, and the fan comes out and opens up and moves around, and they had figured out how to put commercials and billboards on the turnstiles, so that when the turnstile opened up, there you are. You're looking for your bag, and instead you're subjected, eyes wide open, to this commercial. And I thought, they'll just, anywhere they can put it, they will.
When you pump gas, we don't pump gas here in New Jersey, but when I go out of state, you got to pump gas. And even while you're pumping gas, now all the good gas pumps have the commercials on them everywhere you go.
Yep.
It's crazy.
The buses,
oh well.
The buses, and now you can pay for your car by putting a commercial on your car. They'll wrap your car with a commercial. So this poor guy, I mean, I get it. He's living his life in a world that claims to have substance that doesn't, and yet he needs substance. But he finds himself sneaking over, and then through this meditation, he finds his way back and says, "Boy, I don't want to die an unhappy person. I don't want to die begrudging my neighbor. Get me back to my center. Help me to get back to what I know really is meaningful and purposeful in life. And, when he gets to that point, I'm with him 100%. I have that prayer. I pray that prayer all the time. God, release me from this stuff. I don't need to be lamenting about it or the rest of it. Let me focus on what really matters in my life. And to be grateful for the fact that, through the witness of others and through the teaching, I know you and I know this way of life. And I can lean into that because, I too am going to die. And when I die, I want to have a sense that I've lived my life not following something that's going to vaporize.
Mm-hmm. Do we have to get old and sick to realize that, though?
Well,
that's the awful part.
Well,
why wait so long?
Well, I don't know. For with you I am an alien. I am a sojourner like all of my fathers. Maybe we do have to get old to be able to realize that. I don't know. I didn't have any of this perspective when I was younger. None of it. At all. I
think it's harder. It's harder when you're younger. There's so many distractions. You're so, bound up in your life. And you have a lot of encouragement for that, too. Everybody's saying, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? Or you got to do this, or you got, what are you standing for? It's not until you get old, maybe, that you slow down enough to say, was that really meaningful?
Yeah, and also I think, especially, from the time when all those questions were being asked, what are you going to be when you grow up? My inside, I don't think I ever said this, but inside was, I don't need to decide now. I'm going to live forever. I got a whole bunch of time to worry about that. And then you get to be 25 and you realize, wow, that went by quickly. And then all of a sudden, you wake up and you're 45, and now, you wake up and you're 68, and you go, whoa. Yeah, I might have wanted to start a little earlier on this meaningful life thing,
Yeah. But I guess it's never too late, and there you go.
No, and even when you start working on it, you still have to kind of come back to the tutorial over and over again. Mm-hmm. And life will bring it to you. Yep. And in this is titled in my commentary book, it's a meditation and a prayer on the transitory nature of life. That's how they title it. It's a prayer embracing and seeking to accept the transitory nature of life and not have that be a cause for despair or depression. But to know, yes, life is transitory. Let's accept it for what it is and stop attaching our deepest hopes to things that won't last. Instead, allowing our deepest and longing hopes and disciplines of our lives to be attached to the knowledge of God, because that lasts forever. You just can't touch it.
And if we say, we know that, tomorrow we're going to forget it.
Yeah, or tomorrow it'll be different.
Yep. It seems like we need these reminders over and over again. At least I do. Because when you think you got it, it's like, okay, I got it now. And then, something happens and then you don't got it. So.
Yeah, and thus here it is. It's in front of us. It's the year 2024, and this is a reflection and a prayer that was written, 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And has been read and reread and treasured by people who want to be people of meaning and purpose in life. And we come back to it. Why do we keep it? Why do we put it out in front of us? Because we do need to be reminded.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're sick with COVID. And and you're trying to rise above the terrible feelings of how it feels to have COVID.
Really? So what are they saying now? I mean, how many times can you get it and not have it make a lasting impact on your health?
Well, I was so surprised when I got it again, because it was 6 weeks from the one episode to the next. And when I called my doctor, and he's like, "What are you surprised about?" I said, "I thought I was supposed to have immunity. Remember back when they said you could have immunity for a year?" And
Right.
he goes, "Well, let me tell it to you this way. You'll be immune for probably 6 months to a year to the strain of COVID that you got. But that isn't going to help you at all with the 55 different strains of COVID that are out there right now." And then he said, "My wife has had COVID 5 times in the last
Oh,
4 months."
oh no.
Yeah, yep. So
So is that maybe because it's just mutating more quickly now? And
it's
yeah.
mutating like crazy, and a lot of the newer mutations are actually more contagious. Like they're very contagious. And the only thing that's keeping us out of the terrible COVID shutdown times is that we do have medications that keep it from killing us. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
if they had not made the progress that they made with vaccines, I really think half the world's population would be dead right now.
Think so. Oh well.
So Barbara, you seem to have pretty strong symptoms, right? Not too bad? Yeah. First 2 days I had, I couldn't get out of bed. It wasn't, I mean, I had a cold, but it was the body aches and the exhaustion. I had no motivation to do anything. So I didn't do anything.
Well,
And then,
somebody was
I
message.
I have a cough
oh, you have a
and
cough.
a runny nose.
Yeah.
And I thought I had a cold, but I never get a cold. And I was supposed to have someone staying over here with me, neighbor's sister. And I thought before she comes, I better see if I have something contagious. Lo and behold, I did.
Oh,
No idea where I got it, but it is here.
wow.
Well,
No matter where you go, you can't get around it either.
no, you
Right.
can't. No.
When I flew back from Barbara's, I had forgotten that I took a lot of stuff out of my pocketbook at home and forgot to put my masks back in my bag. So I get on the plane from Fort Myers. I had a layover in Baltimore on that Sunday when there was the big playoff game in Baltimore.
Oh, no.
So the plane had not one single seat open. And everyone on the plane, it seemed, was sneezing and coughing, and I had no mask. And I thought, oh no. When I got home, I felt pretty good. But lo and behold, last Wednesday, I started to feel a little crummy, and it lasted a couple of days. But I still have a sinus, congestion.
Yeah.
So I got whatever was floating around on the plane. Oh well, and you can't, what are you going to do? Jump out of the plane? You can't.
That won't make you better. No, that won't make you better.
Although we were all hoping the doors wouldn't blow off on the way home, but
Oh, God.
you just never know.
Yes, sir. Those are thoughts you try to avoid when you're riding on the
Right.
plane.
At least it would have aired out the cabin.
Yeah.
I don't know. Terrible.
I mean, it's
So,
it
guess-
is everywhere because
Yeah.
before I got COVID, that week before, there were 5 babies in the baby center, our baby center, that had COVID, and one of them was hospitalized.
Oh,
So
no.
I knew it was there. I knew it was strong there. And then one of the teachers came down with it over the weekend. And so then that Sunday night was when I got it. Now, I don't know if I got it from them because I wore my mask down there and I tried to avoid, I always try to avoid that. Baby center is a petri dish of all kinds of, it's RSV, it's a cold, it's pink eye, it's everything.
Flu.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the flu. So I try to protect myself, but it's tough. And then today, I told you in the beginning, Debbie, that we have 3 full-time staff that are sick. Now, they do not have COVID, but they have high fevers, they have cold symptoms, and so they all called in sick this morning, and we had to close the school. We couldn't operate. You can't have the school open when you don't have staff to watch the children. So I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I was surprised that the parents were very understanding. And I think they're understanding because I think they've got the same problem. A lot of them are sick. I don't know, maybe it's my imagination, but I feel like the sickness plurality in this very gray and rainy winter is multiplied. It's like these germs are having a heyday.
Yeah, it never really got cold enough for a long enough period of time to really just kill everything. And then we keep gathering indoors this time of the year, so it spreads.
Yep.
Oh, well.
Yeah, oh well. So, would you like to read another psalm? I'm not sure we can fully discuss it, but it's 18 verses long, the next one, Psalm 40.
Okay. 18 verses is not bad. Let's try that.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined to me and heard my cry. He drew me up from the desolate pit, out of the miry bog, and set my feet upon a rock, making my steps secure. He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Many will see and fear and put their trust in the Lord. Happy are those who make the Lord their trust, who do not turn to the proud, to those who go astray after false gods. You have multiplied, O Lord my God, your wondrous deeds and your thoughts towards us. None can compare with you. Were I to proclaim and tell of them, they would be more than can be counted. Sacrifice and offering you do not desire, but you have given me an open ear. Burnt offering and sin offering you have not required. Then I said, here I am. In the scroll of the book it is written of me. I delight to do your will, O my God. Your law is within my heart. I have told the glad news of deliverance in the great congregation. See, I have not restrained my lips. As you know, O Lord, I have not hidden your saving help within my heart. I have spoken of your faithfulness and your salvation. I have not concealed your steadfast love and your faithfulness from the great congregation. Do not, O Lord, withhold your mercy from me. Let your steadfast love and your faithfulness keep me forever, for evils have encompassed me without number. My iniquities have overtaken me until I cannot see. They are more than the hairs of my head, and my heart fails me. Be pleased, O Lord, to deliver me. O Lord, make haste to help me. Let all those be put to shame and confusion who seek to snatch away my life. Let those be turned back and brought to dishonor who desire my hurt. Let those be appalled because of their shame, who say to me, aha, aha. But may all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. May those who love your salvation say continually, great is the Lord. And as for me, I am poor and needy, but the Lord takes thought for me. You are my help and my deliverer. Do not delay, oh my God. This one seems like it's just the next step from the last one.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't help but feel like, okay, this is the psalm that I wish, like, if there was an edited book of the Bible, put this writing in there. You know, this person says all that transactional analysis of do this and then God will love you for this. It's gone.
Right.
This guy is up on a pedestal and he is saying that is all nothing to do with God. God does not require those sacrifices, and God does not require those acts of contrition that are required in order for God to show you loving kindness and mercy. And he says, and I've told the world about this. I've told everybody that will listen that this is true. So how can this be? How can this psalm be bound into the same book as some of the stuff that we have read? How is that possible?
I think it's wonderful that there's a lot of different things to talk about and to parse over. Because if there was just one way of living in this world and living with God, it would be very monotonous and not very interesting. It's like life itself. It's very interesting.
Yes.
There's always stuff you need to think about and to do and make decisions about. And I think that's why God made this experiment with us. Let's see how you do, and you're not all going to have the same things confront you. You're not going to have all the same, pitfalls. You're not going to have all the same desires. You're not going to have all the same wonderful stuff. You're not going to have all the same awful stuff. Let's see what you do with what you get. And this guy's got a pretty good head on his shoulders, I think. I think it's the same guy, actually. Because before he was saying, I have shut my mouth. Now he's progressed beyond that. Now I'm proclaiming to the whole congregation, this is what it's all about. It's kind of brave.
Yeah, I think kind of brave. I think kind of liberal. This guy is a liberal. He is a liberal through and through. He gets up on his soapbox and he says, I don't care what those people have told you. God does not require you to kill animals and put blood on rocks in order for you to be close to God. How many times do I have to repeat it? And he's shouting it. He's like, that is not what God wants. And the reason God doesn't want it and God doesn't need it is because God is merciful. God gives mercy. And how do I know that? Look at me. I'm the biggest recipient of mercy in history, and I've received it. He's not saying I'm good. He's saying God is good. God is the good one here. And
God's actually got me written down in his book.
Yeah.
How wonderful. I matter to God.
Yeah. And it's not because I've carried in the right number of lambs and calves or given up, the right number of things in order to show my elite. No, it's not about that. It's God coming toward me. This is radical stuff.
It is. I'm sure it made him real popular with the guys who sold the animals for the burnt offerings and and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, how do you think it went when they had this psalm come up in the reading, in the synagogue where they just had the whole big annual sacrifice of the lamb and all the people had spent all that money on offerings of the burnt offerings and things that had been in order to get right with God. And this guy, he's the preacher of the day, and he says, everything you've been doing is meaningless. You don't need to do any of that. God doesn't require any of that. So
the wonder it still stayed in the
I know.
in the book.
I know.
All they have to do is ignore it in the lectionary. They don't read that one. They just pass over that one, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. This one's wonderful, I think.
Yeah, I do not restrain my lips, you know that, O Lord. I've not hidden, in my translation it says, I've not hidden your righteousness, but you had a different word in your translation there in verse 10 or 11. I've not hidden your mercy or your kindness, I forget, within my heart, but I have been outspoken concerning your faithfulness and your salvation. I have not hidden your loving kindness or your truth from the great congregation. What a preacher. What a preacher this guy is. I'm surprised they didn't kill him.
I'm surprised too.
I mean, this is a liberal. It's a liberal.
When Jesus tried to say things like this, they chased him out and almost, threw him over a cliff.
Yeah. I mean, you're going to wreck the whole economy of how religion works.
Exactly.
If we can't control people with fear that God somehow has to be convinced to like them,
Yeah, he's like, this is cool. He's already in God's book. God knows me. He's got my stuff written down. How wonderful. He knows who I am. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
Sometimes you think, I'm so inconsequential. God doesn't. I don't have a personal relationship with God. And here he's saying, yeah, I do. And it's great.
Yeah, and I love the phrase where he says that, my wicked deeds have overtaken me so that I cannot see. They're more numerous than the hairs on my head, and my heart is. And then he says, "Please deliver me, O Lord. Hasten to my help. I don't have to do anything. I'm not making an appeal based on how good I am. I'm not.
Right.
I'm making my appeal on the fact that in my life I have done one thing, and that is I have declared that you are a God of love, and you are a God of mercy." And people say the Old Testament is full of the language of the vengeful God. Well, I don't know. Have you read Psalm 40? That's, this is, and I grew up, I guess I have to say I'm reacting because I grew up in a tradition that said the Bible speaks with one voice. It is one word. But you cannot put this theology together with the kind of stuff that we have been reading back, in some of these other motivational people who are trying to get people to behave by having them bring burnt offerings, by having them do things to earn God's attention and God's favor. The transactional God. You do this for me and I will do this for you.
Right.
Gone from here. It's gone.
Yeah. And he's not claiming to be perfect. Far from it.
No.
He's got problems. But he's also saying, all those self-righteous people who say, aha, to him,
Yeah.
when he admits he has fault.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah. And he says they're going to be really disappointed. All those people who thought they had my number and saw that I was not worthy of God's love. Nope. Guess what? God's ahead of you. God has a different opinion than you do. It's amazing. And he repeats that phrase about I have not required burnt offering. He repeats that twice. He says, in case you missed it, let me say it again.
Mm-hmm.
And it points to what's coming later, I think later in time. I'm not sure where this psalm exists in terms of when it was written, but when Micah, by the time Micah is the prophet that everybody's listening to, and he says, look, I have told you what I require from you. This is God speaking. Love kindness, walk humbly, and it's such a beautiful basic requirement. Your sacrifices, the smoke that rises from these transactional sacrifices stink in my nostrils. That's what it says. You do not need to earn my love. You do not. And when you try to, it points to an arrogance in you that you think that, A, you need to do that, and that you can do that.
Right.
This guy says, I don't need to do it, and it's a good thing I don't, because I would fail completely. I'm not that good. Well, that turned out to be a pretty uplifting psalm.
It did.
I was trying to think of what the hymn is that we used to sing in the church back then that has this free, he set my feet upon a rock and the miry clay. He raised me up out of the miry clay. There's a hymn that has that phrase in it. I can't think what it is. I don't think it made it into the sophisticated Presbyterian hymn traditions. I think it's more the campfire revival hymns, that had that image of I'm sinking in the mud and God has reached down and lifted me up and set my feet on a solid rock. Beautiful imagery.
Yeah.
And he put a song into my mouth and a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and will fear, and they will trust in the Lord. It's a beautiful, beautiful psalm.
Well, I'd go to his church.
I would too. In fact, where is it? Let's go. Let's go. All right, my friends. I think we'll let it sit there. Maybe we'll read that psalm again next week when we come back because it's so inspiring
Yeah.
And who knows, we may need it when we get into the next one. I don't know.
Oh. What's coming up?
Well, a liturgy for those who are sick. We'll see whether that's got as much grace in it as this did. All right.
And maybe we'll all be well next week.
Yeah, maybe. As I said, I'm worried about our friend Colette. I hope she's not sick.
Yeah, when you don't see Colette, it's a little upsetting.
Yeah, it's worrisome.
Feel better, Barbara. Feel better.
Yes, please. I can tell you don't feel good at all. I'm so glad you came tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you. And nice to see you, Debbie. And
Nice to see you.
well, maybe
Okay.
I'll see you tomorrow morning.
Inshallah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Okay, good night.
Good night.
And good night to you, those of you who may be listening, watching and listening. I hope that the Psalms we read tonight were encouraging to you, and maybe you found some inspiration for the living of the day, especially if you are sick or if you're feeling the effects of getting older. God bless you and good night.